Ever wondered why some men seem to command respect effortlessly while others struggle to make their voice heard? This isn't a question of physical stature or financial prowess, but rather a matter of conviction, the power of standing one's ground. In a world that often demands compromise, it's easy to overlook the importance of maintaining one's stance. Yet, it's precisely in these moments that we define who we are and what we stand for. It's in these crucibles of conflict that the steel of our character is tempered and shaped. Standing one's ground isn't about being stubborn or unyielding. It's about asserting one's values, about demonstrating respect for oneself and one's beliefs. Imagine, if you will, the story of a man named John. John was a small business owner in a town that was rapidly growing, with new cropping up all around him. One day, a group of powerful investors came with a proposal for a hostile takeover of his business. They offered John an amount of money that would have allowed him to retire comfortably, far more than his business was currently worth. But John knew that his business was more than just a source of income. It was the fruit of his hard work, of late nights and early mornings, of sacrifices and risks taken. So he said no. He stood his ground, faced the investors, the lawyers, the pressure, and in the end he prevailed. His business was saved, and more importantly, he demonstrated to his employees, his community, and himself the power of conviction. This isn't just about John or about saving a business. It's about understanding the importance of standing your ground, of holding on to what's truly important, regardless of the pressures that might push you to compromise. As you standing your ground can turn the tables in your favor, even in the most challenging circumstances. But what happens when you fail to stand your ground? Well, consider the story of a man named Daniel. Daniel was a kind-hearted, agreeable man, always ready to compromise. He believed that bending to the will of others was the path to peace and harmony. But over time, this pattern of constant compromise began to erode his self-respect. Daniel found himself always prioritizing others' needs over his own. He would agree to work extra hours, lend money he couldn't afford to spare, and accept invitations to events he had no interest in. His friends and family began to take his willingness to compromise for granted. They would impose upon him, secure in the knowledge that Daniel would never say no. As time went on, Daniel's constant compromises began to take a toll on his self-esteem. He started to doubt his worth, wondering if his opinions and desires held any value at all. After all, he was so quick to dismiss them in favor of others' needs. Moreover, people's respect for Daniel began to wane. They saw his constant compromising not as a sign of generosity, but as a lack of backbone. They began to view him as someone who could be easily manipulated, someone who didn't have the strength to stand up for himself. Daniel's story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of failing to stand your ground. When you constantly compromise your position, you risk losing respect from others, and more importantly, from yourself. You may start to question your worth and your ability to make decisions. The reality is, standing your ground isn't about being stubborn or unyielding. It's about honoring your values, your needs, and your self-worth. It's about understanding that it's okay to say no, to prioritize your own needs, and to assert your position when it matters. And remember, every time you fail to stand your ground, you send a message that your needs, your values, and your self-worth are negotiable. And that's a dangerous message to send. The cost of not standing your ground can be higher than you might think. But how do you stand your ground without coming off as obstinate or aggressive? Well, the answer lies in mastering the art of saying no. Not a harsh, dismissive no, but a no that is assertive yet respectful, firm yet kind. Let's consider an anecdote of a man named Jake. Jake was a people pleaser, always saying yes to keep everyone happy. But this habit was taking a toll on him, physically and emotionally. He was spread too thin, with no time for himself or his passions. He knew something had to change. Jake started practicing the art of saying no. Initially, it was challenging. He felt guilty, worried about disappointing others. But he realized that by always saying yes, he was essentially saying no to himself. He was denying himself the time, energy, and resources that he deserved. As Jake started saying no more often, he noticed a change. His relationships improved because he was no longer resentful of the obligations he had taken on. His health improved because he had time for self-care. His work improved because he was able to focus on his tasks without being constantly distracted by other people's demands. Jake's story is a testament to the power of saying no. But how did he do it without coming off as obstinate or aggressive? He did it with grace and assertiveness. He communicated his boundaries clearly, explaining why he couldn't fulfill the request. He offered alternatives when possible and showed empathy for the other person's situation. He stood his ground, but he did it with kindness and respect. Remember, saying no is not about being rude or dismissive. It's about recognizing your worth and respecting your own boundaries. It's about understanding that you have the right to prioritize your needs. It's about realizing that you can't be everything to everyone, and that's okay. In the end, the art of saying no is about self-respect. It's about valuing your time, your energy, your resources. It's about standing your ground, not out of stubbornness, but out of a deep respect for yourself and your well-being. Saying no is not about being unkind, it's about respecting your own boundaries. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. So, what have we learned about the importance of standing your ground? Well, we've journeyed together through the power of conviction, understanding that holding firm to our beliefs, no matter the pressure, is an essential part of who we are as men. We've also explored the consequences of compromise, recognizing that each time we let our boundaries be breached, we lose a little piece of our self-respect. We delved into the art of saying no, acknowledging that it's not a sign of weakness but a testament to our strength. It's about having the courage to protect our mental, emotional, and physical space. And most importantly, it's about understanding that saying no can be the most empowering decision we make. In essence, we've learned that standing your ground is a vital aspect of our identity and integrity. Remember, standing your ground is not just about asserting your rights. It's about respecting yourself and demanding that others do the same.